This is Do They Know It's Christmas by Band Aid, which was a group of English singers, pop stars in the 1980s that were hugely popular at the time, and it was one of the biggest selling records of all time. It's the first time anyone ever really got all those. Let's click these off here. Boom. Got all those big stars all together into one big song, and to start off a chain reaction, there was We Are the World, and there was Farm Aid and Live Aid and all this stuff. So it was good to help raise awareness of what was going on in Ethiopia with the famine and stuff like that. But hey, that's what's going on with that. And this is a Dylan Knows, episode 326, the 10th of Christmas, a little later than usual. I was intending totally to do it this afternoon on Sunday, the 15th of December, but I was unable to do it due to various reasons, which I will get into, because this week has been quite the week for me and my family. So we will discuss that today. We're also anticipating snow, sleet, freezing rain, icy conditions, possibility of no school tomorrow, blah, 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 usual stuff like that going on. So we'll see what happens with that. And so I figured, let me just get this out of the way, and we'll talk about why it took so long to get here, and about this week, how it's been insane. First off, let me just tell you the reason why I played Do They Know It's Christmas, not only because Christmas is coming in 10 days, which is hence the name, the 10th of Christmas, but also Do They Know It's Christmas, the song came out 35 years ago this past week that just happened, and I have an anecdote to tell you about real quick, and then I'll tell you about what else we got going on. When it first came out on records, actually, at 45, my sister bought it because she loved the band and she was a big 80s music kid and stuff like that, and so she wanted to have a Christmas party at our house. So my parents said it was okay. So my parents were still together, so they said it was okay, and so she invited a bunch of her friends from, let me guess, 85, let's see, she's 15, probably high school, to come over, and I had to go upstairs to, go upstairs and hide out in my room because she didn't want me down there with them while they had their little fun party. So that was fine. I mean, my parents had to stay upstairs also. And the one thing I remember is that this song, as I said, was one of the biggest hits of all time. Everyone loved it. It was the 1980s. All these bands were hugely popular at the time. And so my sister played the song over and over and over and over again. Forever and ever, amen. So that was one of the remembrances I have of this. I'm not going to do this one right now. Of this song. So 35 years ago that happened. So 35 years ago was when I was stuck up in my room while my sister had a party. So actually I just saw something that I'm going to post for next week, because next week will be my Christmas episode, because the way the calendar falls this year, Christmas is on a Wednesday, which is really stupid because I only get Wednesday off from work. We'll have a half day Christmas Eve, which is always fun, and Christmas Eve is a fun day at work. But my wife and kids are off from the 23rd through the 2nd, or rather I should say through the 1st. They go back to school and work on the 2nd. I think my wife has to go into work one day during that time because she's a manager, and it's only for like half a day anyway. So, and I'll go for the whole I'm out there. But so Christmas is on Wednesday, so I just get one day off because you have Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Now what you want to do is you want the holiday to hit like on a Thursday. Well, I mean, not Thursday. More like you want it to hit on maybe a Tuesday is probably the best time where you want the holiday to hit. And maybe Thursday as well might be a good spot for it as well, because then you might be able to potentially have a 4-day weekend, because the bosses might say, you know what, there's no reason to, we were already shut down for Christmas, so why open up one day and then shut down for the weekend? And the same thing is, we just had the weekend, and then there's one day before we're off again. Why should we set up again on Monday when it comes in on Tuesday? So Next year, Christmas will be on a Friday because of leap year, because it'll skip a day because we have that extra day in there. So that'll end up just being a 3-day weekend, which is still good. It's still better than nothing. But so that's good. So that's what's going on with that. So we'll see what happens about it. So what do we got going on this week? We've got Keanu Reeves Day. Oh, yeah, so my point real quick before I get that. So these two things I wrote up here, I'll put on my Christmas episodes. My Christmas episode will be either the 21st, which is the first day of winter, or the 22nd, depending on my schedule. So it'll probably be the 21st. I like to tend to do it on Saturday so I can get it out of the way and still have all Sunday to recover. But we'll see, because my wife gets paid on Friday, next Friday, and we'll be using that for Christmas stuff. I get paid on Thursday, and that'll help also, but then I get my Christmas bonus on probably the week after that. So, but we've got some death, we've got some trailers, we've got some Christmas sweaters, we've got Times Person of the Year, we've got Krispy Kreme, we've got Facebook down, we've got new cars, we've got what my week was all about, we've got white Snickers, we've got some weird stories. We've gotten a explosion. We've got some anniversaries. We have the return of In Dreams. It's actually an extended version of In Dreams. Army-Navy game was this week. It was yesterday, actually. Raven Marcus Peters got fined for something you won't believe. A Pooper Scooper robot. Baby Yoda is all over the place. Actually, there's that story, so I'll cross that out because I wrote it down over here. I said death, Hall of Fame, Pink Flamingos, Electric Eels, Loch Ness Monsters, Logan, Scottish Castles, marijuana, Florida Man makes an appearance, Pokemon, police, you don't believe what a police horse has to do, reboots, extinct animals coming back again, all kinds of great stuff. So we've got some interesting things coming up. So I'm just going to go down the road. It's going to be sort of all over the place. I'm going to try to get this done quickly because it is 9:46 on a Sunday, and despite the fact that the snow, the rain, the ice, whatever, I still need to go to work tomorrow. So I'm going to try to get to bed early. So 9:46, 10:46. If I can get it done in an hour and 15 minutes, that'll be great. I don't think I will be able to, but we'll see what happens. I think an hour and a half, it should be all right. So I guess we'll just hit all the stuff that happened to me this week, because it's the first thing I have on here. My daughter Noelle turned 13 on December 12th. That was also the day of the full moon, which occurred on 12/12 at 12/12. So that was kind of an interesting little thing. And for her birthday, she wanted to do an escape room. So she and her friends and my wife went to an escape room in Columbia and did a casino escape room. They did not succeed. They said they maybe had 5 minutes. They might have succeeded, but they didn't. So it's okay. They had fun, though. Then they had a sleepover last night, and I heard a lot of the noise, and I slept a little bit, but I heard the last of their voices talking about 4 a.m. So they stayed up till about 4 a.m. to do stuff. But that's what you expect from, girls and sleepovers and stuff like that. So we had a busy day with that. So that kind of wore her out. My wife's car broke down last Saturday. It was last Saturday. I think I talked about it in the show last week while she was on the highway. No, wait a second. That couldn't have been. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Was it? I don't remember. Anyway, so her car broke down, and she was able to get back home, obviously, but the car was done. So we wanted to see what was the problem with it. So we dropped it off at our regular car repair place, and they didn't look at it until Friday. So it was about a week before they got to take a look at it. And they discovered that the head gasket had blown, which is a $3,000 expense of repair to fix it. Now, we were planning at the beginning of the new year anyway to get a new car. We just didn't want it to be, we wanted to wait till the new year happened so we could figure out what we were going to do with some stuff. Unfortunately, that put stuff to a head for us because we weren't going to pay $3,000 for this old car that we were going to get rid of anyway about a month or so. And $3,000 we didn't have right before the holidays. So it still belonged to my mom. So my wife called my mom and they discussed it and they decided that it was time to move on from it because we were going to anyway, as I said, next year. And so my mom ended up calling it in to get picked up tomorrow by a veterans group who will use it to use the parts or whatever, fix the car, whatever, to try to give veterans a vehicle, which is really a nice thing to do. So she's going to do that. So because of that, now we were down a car. So we had to jump into buying a new car like that because we need to have it ready by tomorrow because my wife needed to go back to work. She didn't want to go pay another Uber and then have me drive all the way back and pick her up and stuff like that, particularly with all this weather coming. So we decided now's the time to get the new car. So we did some research during our lunch break and stuff like that. And I discovered Enterprise Car Sales. So Enterprise, we know, is a rental car place. And they also sell there's only a couple shops in this area, but I'm sure there are probably a bunch in your state as well that sell the cars that they rent. So this place just basically sold former rental cars. So they were good deals. They were no haggle prices. They had low mileage on it, and a lot of them were recent, a couple years old. So I found one with 2018 Ford Focus with 47,000 miles on it. Technically, there was 46 something on it, but they rounded up to 47. 47,000 miles on it, and had only the one owner, which was the Enterprise, and it was used mainly as a rental car. And they had just gotten the gas and oil, and it was a 46,000 mile checkup. So they got all that, cleared up and checked out. So cars, fairly straightforward. Everything is clean and going. And it was for, at the time it was $12,004 something. So they have a little thing on the website where you can estimate a payment. Now, we didn't know how we were going to get a down payment down because you usually put a couple $1,000s down to help lower your prices. So I said, let me just see what a possible estimated price would be for the car, what we'd have to pay on it. So I put in zero cash down and good credit and 72-month financing or whatever. And the thing that popped up was $222 a month. And I was like, really? Ooh, I think we can afford that. So I showed it to my wife. She's like, ooh, let's jump on it. So we were going to do it on Sunday, but they're not open on Sunday because we have my daughter's party and all the stuff going on Saturdays. But we had to do it Saturday. So the place opened at 10 o'clock. It's in Timonium, which is about a half hour away from here. So we went to Timonium right when they opened, and we were one of the first people in there. So we got help right away, and we told them exactly what we wanted. We wanted this car, this price, and stuff like that. Well, the funny thing was, the night before we went to bed, I checked it one last time. The price had gone down to like 11.6. I was like, oh, that's even better. So we go in and we give them the VIN number and all this stuff. And so she's like, hey, we'll go out and I'll find it. And it wasn't on the lot. It's like, okay, that's odd. So they came back in and they checked. They had sent it to Glen Burnie, which is where one of the other shops was. But whoever does the updating, whatever, forgot to update that it was moved to Glen Burnie. So it still said Timonium. So they had to get somebody from Glen Burnie to drive it up to us. So while they did that, this is when it was rainy and yucky out on Saturday, we had to go and get our financing through them and our credit and all this stuff checked. So it took a little while to do. So roughly about 4 hours later, we had a brand new car. So I got a brand new 2018 Ford Focus. I have it. It's parked right out in front of the car, in front of the house. I've driven it a couple times. Both kids have driven in it. Dawn did a test drive with me in it. So that was about it. So it's nice. It's smaller. I mean, it's lower to the ground and it's smaller. Doesn't have a CD player, which kind of makes me angry because I liked my CDs, but that's okay. We need a car quickly, so I'll take it. And so that's what we did. And so it has its first test tomorrow. I'm going to try it out on, I guess, the ice and snow. We'll see what happens if we get ice and snow. Because we were supposed to get all that on Monday or Tuesday of this week, and we didn't. So who knows? Or Wednesday, whenever it was. So we got that taken care of. But now, before we got a really good rate. Our APR rate was really, really good. And before we got other stuff involved, that we would have had to pay $208, which was perfect. But then Enterprise convinced us that they had a couple of good deals that they wanted to give to us, which I think is really good. 36,000 miles. If anything happens to the car within the next 36,000 miles, they'll take care of it no matter what it is. They'll take care of it. So that's good. That was like an extra $1,000 onto the total bill. So, and that's what happens. And then next thing that comes up is, what was I thinking? I can't remember where I was going with that thought. And then the next thing was the tires are going to get repaired. So for like next 60 months or something like that, if something happened to the tires, I would take care of that. And then after that, there was the gap thing, which is, for those who don't know, the gap, if my car gets totaled. And then after that, if it gets totaled and I get my insurance on it, and then I don't have enough to pay for what I owe on the car, there's a gap in between about how much I owe to take off the rest of the car. So they'll fill that gap with money too. So it's good money. So it makes the payments $270, which is fairly good for us anyway. So it's good about that. Let's see anything else. So also this week, as I said, I had to go pick up my wife from her work in Hunt Valley, which is, I had to go from my work in Baltimore up to Hunt Valley. So it's a bit of a hike, particularly during weather and traffic and stuff like that. So one day, the first day I was coming to pick her up, I was taking this back route, and goes down Owings Mills Boulevard. And so I'm stopped at the stoplight. It's raining, cloudy, whatever. All of a sudden, a loud explosion happens right next to me. I mean, it's not literally next to me, but it's off to the side. And it looked like it was a firework, because it was like colored greens, red, and yellow streaks came out. But it was the weirdest thing. A bunch of other cars stopped and freaked out. And I don't even know what it was. Like, it was like a box that exploded or something like that. I still don't know what it is. I haven't read anything, haven't heard anything about it. So, wow. I still know what it is. So, we had that happen as well. So that's kind of interesting. See anything else on my list that I haven't thought about yet that affects me directly? Nope. That should be about it. So that was been my week. If I come across something else, I'll let you guys know. So there was that. Oh yeah, Facebook. So for 48 hours, like Wednesday into Thursday or Tuesday into Wednesday or something like that, my Facebook was down. And I was afraid that I was never going to get back into it. And when I meant Facebook is down, basically what that means is I could not share anything on my page, and I couldn't put any status updates on my page. I could comment on other people's pages, and I could share things to people's pages because I wish certain people happy birthday and it showed up on their feed. But I couldn't do it on mine. So I don't know if I was soft banned or there was some issue, whatever. But 48 hours, I had no access of sharing whatever. So this is why I thought this might be a little light this week, but actually it's pretty extensive. So for about 2 days, I didn't have some of the news I wanted to do on the show. So but that was just a weird little thing that happened, and I still don't know why it happened. So again, hopefully it doesn't happen again, because I still get nervous. So whenever I post something and it pauses before it says posted, I'm afraid it's going to say, nope, you screwed again. Krispy Kreme, we got a couple of things here. On 12/12, they said Krispy Kreme donuts had a dozen donuts for $1. So 12/12, so obviously they would do that. So for $1, they did the dozen donuts. So that was kind of cool that they were able to do that. Also, Krispy Kreme is selling holiday donuts that look like Santa and wreaths and reindeer. So if you want to get something festive for work or whatever, pick up some of those as well. And it's pretty cool. So Krispy Kreme keeps pushing their stuff. It's pretty interesting. Last week I talked about the $120,000 banana modern art piece that sold for $120,000. Well, there's a secondary part to it now. A performance artist ripped it off the wall and ate the banana. So basically made the piece of artwork now worthless. So art is weird. I don't know what else to say that. Speaking of art, this isn't really art unless you look at it a different way, but someone has been putting tiny cowboy hats on Las Vegas pigeons. So that's kind of interesting as well. That's going out of their way to put little cowboy hats on pigeons, and pigeons are allowing him to do it, or her do it. I don't know. I don't want to be sexist about anything. There is a new vodka out there called Color Changing Unicorn Vodka. It changes color. I guess either when you stir it or pour it out or whatever, it's different colors, and like pinks and blues and stuff like that. Greens for like unicorn colors and stuff like that. Several Christmas displays in Warwick, Rhode Island have been destroyed mysteriously. They're calling it the Grinch of Warwick. So someone is going around and literally tearing down Christmas lights and Christmas decorations on people's yards, deflating inflatables, stuff like that, tearing them up. And I think it's kind of stupid and rude of them to do that. The Popeye chicken sandwich, which is one of the big things of 2019, is now an ugly Christmas sweater. So you can get a Popeye chicken sandwich ugly Christmas sweater. I almost said chicken sweater. Ugly Christmas sweater. So interesting about that. White Snickers is coming back. It's a white chocolate Snickers. It's weird looking because you're used to the brown Snickers look to it. This is a straight up white Snickers. So kind of interesting about that. What is that? I did say, I did mention the Popeye chicken sandwich ugly Christmas sweater, and then I made a mistake by saying chicken sweaters. The reason why I said that is because there are now Christmas sweaters for chickens that you can put on. They're smaller. You put them on their chickens to keep them warm as well. So yeah, that's so I wasn't really making a mistake now, was I? A mortician is criticizing The Walking Dead zombies as inaccurate and too skinny, and is like, how the hell do you know what a zombie would look like? Because zombies don't exist. So I don't know. Stupid people. A woman was filmed filling a plastic bag with gasoline and then putting it in the trunk of her car. Like a grocery store, plastic bag or, a trash bag or whatever. She was literally putting gasoline in it, and she was trying to bring it over to her car trunk. So it's spilling it all over the floor and the ground, so like that. And then once you get it in the car, I mean, how is it even going to stay in the bag? And it's in a bag. It's liquid. How are you going to do that? So I don't know if they got her and stopped her from doing it. I'm not exactly sure, but we'll see. Rick and Morty is hugely popular now, and one of the characters that's popular is Pickle Rick. Well, Pickle Rick flavored Pringles will be coming soon. So if you like, I guess they would be pickle flavored Pringles. So if you like them, go for it, man. Let's see, trailers, anniversaries. Greta Thunberg was named the Time 2019 Person of the Year. Somebody was very upset about that, and we're not even going to talk about that anymore. So, but good for her. Congratulations. Pillsbury's new cookie dough has Lucky Charms marshmallows in it. That sounds awesome. Cookies with Lucky Charms marshmallows in it. That just sounds like a really great idea, and I'm going to see if I can try to find them and try them. I also discovered this at Target today. Actually, I want to delete you. I don't need to do that. There's a special holiday Lucky Charms called the Cinnamon Vanilla Lucky Charms, which sounds really kind of interesting also. If you're into eating cereal, that might be something interesting too. Then there's also sugar cookie milk and chocolate mint milk is also available now. That's milk that's flavored like sugar cookies or chocolate mint. So there's that as well. So it's just like, okay, that's interesting. But, there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on out there right now, so who knows. Pierce Brosnan has been cast to play the king in a Cinderella reboot. So, yeah, it's just what we need is another reboot to do things. Pepsi is debuting a coffee-infused soda with double caffeine. I guess that'll be coming within the new year, so that'll be worthwhile to check out. Story out of Jurassic Park, a dinosaur tail has been found frozen in amber. So you actually have a full dinosaur tail in amber. So that's very cool. Well, I did that one already. Here's some more stupid people. A bodybuilder is going to wed his sex toy girlfriend, sex toy doll girlfriend, after 8 months of dating and even getting her plastic surgery, which I don't understand what that's all about. He Instagrams his dates with her. So basically it's like a real life mannequin, except, you know, the movie Mannequin. It's like a real life mannequin, but instead it's a sex toy doll. Now I think there was a movie that came out a while back about something like that, but this is real life. That's crazy. May 21st, 2021 is, for the time being, Keanu Reeves Day, because that is both the day that Matrix 4 and John Wick 4 will be released in movie theaters on the same day. So they'll be going up against each other in the summer of 2021. Now, I don't know if one of them is going to blink or if they're just going to say, heck, let's just see what happens. There's enough Keanu to go around. It might be an interesting experiment to see, okay, we want to see both these Keanu movies, but which one do you think we should watch first? So, you know, you go to John Wick 4 and then go to see Matrix later on that weekend, and vice versa. Or depending on, well, if we decide we're going to go to John Wick 4, we go there, it's all sold out. There's still some room, Matrix 4, let's go to Matrix 4, then we'll go to John Wick 4 the next day or something like that. So that's crazy. But 5/21, it's never happened before where a actor has gone up against himself in 2 tentpole summer movies. So that's to be continued, obviously. It's still 2 years down the way because neither films have been made yet. But the fact that they have that date posted for both of them is kind of telling and fairly interesting as well. All right, now we got a bunch of little things all together here. We've got some anniversaries, we've got some death, and we've got some trailers before we move on to the next page. The Three Amigos, a great comedy film, came out 33 years ago this week. So Three Amigos, 33 years. That's pretty cool. I talked about the Dino's Christmas opening song, came out 35 years ago this week. And Frosty the Snowman's 50th anniversary is also this year. I've got an idea for something here. The year in review, which is something I've never done before. Popeye chicken sandwich and Baby Yoda. Because I got some Baby Yoda stuff to talk about in a little bit too, but I'm not going to do it right now. That'd be nice. I can add that to my in memoriam, which I usually do also, so that'd be kind of cool. So trailers. We had 3 trailers come out this week. I talked a little bit about these last week, so there have been rumors that they would be out, and they came out. So Wonder Woman 1984 was rumored to come out. It did. It was a very 1984-esque trailer, very poppy 1984 music playing in the background. We get some viewpoints of Maxwell Lord, played by Pedro Pascal, who plays the Mandalorian. And then there was just no view of the cheetah, but there's a view of the actress who plays the woman who becomes Cheetah. We get a lot of Wonder Woman doing stuff with her lasso and action stuff. We get some Amazon stuff. We get to see the return of Steve Trevor. And what else was there? So that was really about it. So it was a good teaser to get you excited for that movie that comes out next year. I'm going to see if I can do I'll do a summer movie review when it gets closer and stuff like that. So we got that coming up. The Ghostbusters Afterlife trailer popped out this weekend also, or this week as well. It was speculated that it would do that. So we got our first look at what the new Ghostbusters movie is going to be about. Basically, the premise behind that was it looked very much like Stranger Things because Finn Wolfhard is in the movie. And the premise is that it's going to follow this family that Finn Wolfhard is part of, whose grandfather passed away. And so they inherited this country house in like Oklahoma or something like that. And they have to move there because the mom is a single mom and they're having issues with money and stuff like that. So figure a free house in a cheap location, where the cost of living isn't so high, move the whole family there. Well, they discover that their grandfather was a Ghostbuster. And the speculation is that it's Egon, since he's not in the movie, since Harold Ramis passed away last year, I think, or 2 years ago. that it's going to be his family that, and that was his farmhouse, and he's got all the equipment. So there's the Ecto-1 is there. There's a couple proton packs, a ghost trap. Some of the uniforms are still there, and we see all bits and pieces of that. And speculation that's Egon. I mean, the grandfather's dead, so Harold Ramis is the only one who's dead of the original Ghostbusters, so it makes the most sense. And then we just see that the kids experimenting with this stuff. They're discovering, figuring what's going on. And then also that this town in Oklahoma, which is not on any fault lines or anything like that, has earthquakes every day, and they don't know what's going on. So they asked their teacher, played by Paul Rudd, what the stuff is, and he recognizes the Ghostbusters stuff from when he was growing up, and he tells them a little bit about what the Ghostbusters were, because nobody remembers the Ghostbusters, because after, I guess, Ghostbusters 2 possibly, or whatever, ghosts disappeared and never showed up again. So, and now of course some ghosts have been popping up. We believe that there have been some quick shots of Slimer. We think Slimer is going to be in it. There were no shots of any of the old Ghostbusters, even though they're all in it, as is Sigourney Weaver and the actress who's going to play, who played their secretary. I can't think of her name right now, but so that was interesting as well. Stargirl, which was the new DC web, or rather streaming service that is going to slowly die, is got its first trailer out, and it's going to be on the CW simultaneously. So it looks like DC streaming is going to go the way of the dodo. So we got the first look at that. It looks like a fun, typical CW type of show. Kind of interesting to see the Stargirl costume and her stepdad. So you might get a little bit of the robot in there that she deals with as well. So that's kind of good. So good on that. We had some death this week. First up was Carol Spinney, who played Big Bird. He died this week. I mean, he was the actual actor who was in the Big Bird costume. He died this week. Rene Auberjonois, Auberjonois, as they used to call him. Those of you familiar from Star Trek DS9, played Odo. He was also Clayton on Benson. He's been in a whole bunch of different shows all the time. You would recognize him if you saw him. He did lots of voiceovers, did voiceovers for a lot of Disney cartoons. He also was the voice of the Princess Diaries father as well. So he's a very distinct, silky voice. So he passed away this week, which is kind of sad. And Danny Aiello passed away this week as well. Character actor, has been in Do the Right Thing and other like mafia ones as well. Damn, my socks are all tore up. It sucks. So I'll leave one on and one off. So it was kind of sad to see that. So some death this week as well as other things too. I'm going to get to some of this other stuff before I get into the In Dream stuff. Florida Man's back. Florida Man dies from a meth overdose before he was eaten by an alligator. So that's a typical Florida Man story you always expect to see. Dies of an overdose of meth and then gets eaten by a crocodile. Or alligator, I should say. A police horse needs a cup of tea every morning before he starts his shift. So, police horses are just like people. They need a little pick-me-up to get them going as well. Walmart pulled the cocaine Santa sweater that we all saw before. It was like cocaine. Looked like he was in front of a bunch of lines of cocaine. I think it was supposed to be, I think it was like powdered sugar, but it looked like cocaine. So Walmart pulled it. Well, guess what? Amazon still has it for sale, and it has become a top seller on Amazon's website. So, of course it would be. A monkey sharpens a rock in his zoo enclosure and use it to smash the glass so he can escape from his enclosure. So it shows monkeys using tools. They're getting smarter. I'm telling you, animals are getting smarter. They're doing stuff that's not expected. Here's another one. A parrot, which was trapped on a roof, keeps telling the fire crews coming to save it to fuck off. Excuse my language, but that's what he's saying. So that's always kind of interesting as well. A bunch of dogs got together to pose for a nativity scene. Their masters, or the owners, I should say, dressed them all up like the wise men and not baby Jesus, but Mary and Joseph and shepherds, stuff like that. Took a picture of them in front of a nativity scene. So good thing, good dogs. They allowed their families to do that to them. You can now swim with otters and take pictures with them at a otter preserve. So if you want to do that, you can totally do that nowadays. Let's see what else. Thousands of penis fish wash up on a beach in California. They look like penises, but they're actually like tubular worm type of things that have lived under the sand or something like that, underwater, something like that, and a massive storm came and rushed them all up onto this beach in California. But they look like penises. They do, except they're white, pale white, not the usual human color that usual penises are. A self-driving truck delivered butter from California to Pennsylvania in 3 days. So when you don't need to stop to sleep or eat or go to the bathroom, you had nobody in the truck, I guess. There was no one in it but the self-driving truck. He got from California to Pennsylvania in 3 days to deliver the butter. So that could be the way of the future. It might be bad for truck drivers, but if you need stuff to get places quicker, that might be the best way to do it. Bald eagle tries to attack an octopus and soon regrets it. Got beaten pretty badly, but was able to escape with his life. There is a two-headed kitten that meows from both mouths and is absolutely adorable and makes you think, how the heck are these two-headed things starting to happen? We've had two-headed sharks literally really happen, and not just from B movies. And they're actually there now. We have two-headed kittens, so it's pretty interesting. A 5-year-old in Alaska carries a toddler half a mile in temperatures 31 below zero. So don't underestimate children or people trying to do good. That's an amazing story. Pooper Scooper robot will find, detect, and pick up like dog poop and outdoor poop, stuff like that. So now you don't have to do that either. So it's all kinds of great stuff is going on. Great time to be alive for electronics and mechanical things. A 2-alarm fire broke out at the Texas Rangers' new ballpark. It's supposed to open, I think, this year, but it might be a little later now because this burned out a bunch of the new stuff that they just built up. So we'll see if they can get that fixed and ready for the new season coming up really soon. Star Wars, the last Skywalker family Star Wars movie comes out on Friday, The Rise of Skywalker. So you'll be hearing lots of Star Wars stuff up there coming up as well. A Star Wars fan builds his own jet-powered land speeder, so he can drive his own land speeder, I should say. Speaking of Star Wars, Baby Yoda is huge, and we're not going to get Baby Yoda merch till next year, but you can easily make Baby Yoda Christmas cookies if you want by making angel Christmas cookies and then breaking off the head of the angel and then coloring in the remaining body to look like Baby Yoda. So that's a DIY Baby Yoda cookie idea. Let's talk about Baby Yoda. We still got it. Baby Yoda has taken the world by storm. He now is appearing right now as we speak in the new update for The Sims 4. My daughter freaked out when she heard that. Updated her Sims 4 and got her Yoda. It's a statue that you can put out in like the yard or in your house or whatever. So it is an actual thing. And then there is a guy working on a free data pack for Minecraft to do a Baby Yoda in Minecraft. So he says it'll be free. It'll be part of an upload or whatever. You don't have to have specific things to get it. So it'll be available probably sometime next year once it's ready. So once it's ready, I'm sure we'll hear all about that as well. Some local news: the Maryland State Fairgrounds, which is where our annual state fair is every year, will be installing solar panels which will partially power the grounds. It's a big area, has lots of grounds, stuff like that, has some animal spots, stables, and so on like that. They have a great at Christmas time, right, the weekend after Thanksgiving, they have the Festival of Trees, which is a really good event. I talked about that before in the show. So that's fantastic. This week was the 120th meeting between Army and Navy in football. And Army's been getting the better of Navy over the last couple of years after Navy just totally dominated for like decades. Well, I should say for a decade and a half. Navy came back and won this one pretty handily, 31-7. Navy is really good this year. They are playing in a major bowl game, and they're 11-2, I think. And Army, I don't know if they're playing in anything, but still, it was good to see Navy beat them because I'm a Navy person because I have family in Navy. Starry Night toad, believed extinct for 30 years, has been rediscovered. So I've been having these stories. So one animal becomes extinct, unfortunately. Another one seems to make its return, which is a good spot for these ones that we think are extinct. They might come back eventually. So that's a good deal also. Christmas time is around here. One of the best Christmas movies of all time is Home Alone. And now they are doing a reboot of Home Alone with one of the stars of Jojo Rabbit, not the main kid star, but the sidekick. I forget the actor's name, but he is. My wife is back. Yeah, she's back safe. Yay. So he will be taking over the role of Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone thing. I don't know if I really need to see a Home Alone reboot because it is a perfect movie the way it is. And so we'll see what happens. Speaking of Christmas movies, my favorite Christmas movie of all time, A Christmas Story, was named America's all-time favorite Christmas movie in a new poll. So hooray, I'll be watching that on Christmas Eve when I'm wrapping my wife's presents like I usually do. Speaking of Christmas presents, a good idea would be a long-distance BFF touch bracelets. So if you and your best friend in college or whatever, and you still stay in touch with each other, but you're now separated by long strands between states, stuff like that, don't see each other as often as you want. Well, now you can each get a bracelet where you can keep in contact with each other via apps and stuff like that. So pretty cool. The last story before we get to In Dreams is, so I talked about how by this time, when I talked about last week, I said by this time from last week. So on Saturday, I said when I do my show on Sunday, today, the 15th, we'll know what the Ravens, my football teams, what their situation is because they were getting ready to play the Buffalo Bills last Sunday. And then they had a Thursday night game against the Jets at home. And we'd have an idea of what things are going on. Well, the Ravens beat the Bills in Buffalo last Sunday, which got them to clinch a playoff spot. And then the Ravens demolished the Jets in Baltimore on Thursday, on my daughter's birthday, to win the the AFC North Division. So they're second year in a row, they are the division champions. And we just need to win one more game. If we win on Sunday coming up, we'll be the number 1 seed. So that's all we got to do. With only 2 games left, we just got to win one of those, and we're the number 1 seed. So that's fantastic. But in that Buffalo game, after the Ravens won it, Marcus Peters, a guy we picked up who's been one of the guys that helped change our season around, we picked him up from the Seattle Seahawks, I believe. He, after the game was over, the Ravens had won, he found Baltimore fans in the Buffalo stands and chugged a beer with them. Got on tape, stuff like that. The NFL has fined him. It's like $14,000. It's really nothing that they fined, but they still fined him for that. Bud Light saw this and said, "Hey, Marcus, we will match your fine, and you can give it to whatever charity you want." So that's kind of a neat thing to do. So the Bud Light will give $14,000 to whatever charity Marcus Peters wants. That's a good idea. In Dreams is a topic that pops up periodically on my show, particularly when I've had weird dreams. This was classified as a really, really weird dream. I think it was Friday night into Saturday. In the dream, I returned to, I've had this recurring dream of this long building that supposedly I stayed in, and there's rooms and there's like no windows really, and there's carpeting and a TV, and there's some windows but not a lot, in the sofa, and it's kind of dark and dreary in there. And then there's some bedrooms that in my previous dreams had doorways that led to either other, like another house on the other side, someone else lived there, or B, to the outside into this grassy area with woods and stuff like that. So this house has been recurring in my mind forever now. It recurred again in this dream, but this time, instead of it having, grassy areas around them, it was built up like there were stores and restaurants and parking garages and stuff around this little long thing that people, I guess, still lived in, except the weird thing is the front house was now a Italian restaurant. And so I think it was called Rancorn was the name of the Italian restaurant. And I don't even know if anyone could live in there anymore. And it was like, I was with Dawn, and I was telling her, hey, remember when we used to live there, we didn't have that. And across the street was a Roy Rogers, which is a former burger place that no longer really exists anymore. So that was there too. And then this parking garage, I parked my car and I was trying to find it. I couldn't find my car. And then second, there was this really weird like walkway that went straight and then went up the wall and then went upside down, and you had to walk on that, and that was weird also. And then it got even worse, and there was a weird dude with a beard who was following me around with an electric razor. I was like, what the hell is all that about? Let's see, is there anything else I'm missing in there? Staircase, Dawn. Oh, and Dawn also was I met up with her, and she was with the kids, and she was standing behind a car, like she was in line. There's behind a car, there's another car coming up behind her, and she closed this person's trunk, and this car was going into a car wash, and that was weird too. And then someone, came behind her while she pulled that down, and that was weird. It looked like it was in Reading, Pennsylvania, where I went to school, was where this location was. And then finally, what really got me was I saw this weird dude with a beard and the electric razor walking around. And then I just sort of was able to try to get away from him. And I was like by myself in this parking garage, and a woman's voice whispered in my ear, "Game Girl Insane." And I woke up like that. I mean, literally, I was like, phew. It was like one of those things you see in television where your eyes snap wide open after she said that. I was like, I don't know what that's all about. And then last night, as I told you, my daughter had her sleepover, so the kids were up a little late, and I could hear them and stuff like that. And there was one point where Dawn had woken up and sort of curled back over and was lying on my chest. And I had my arm around her, and I fell asleep, and I started dreaming about this kid it was me. I was grabbing this kid, probably 10 years old or whatever, who was screaming and fighting and kicking because I didn't want him to sit at a specific table. So I was grabbing him and dragging him away, and he was kicking his feet like that. And I felt something tight on my arm, and I ended up like pinching Dawn, which woke her up and made her come off me and curl up on the side. So I had to apologize to her all the time, but it was just a weird thing like that. So that was my in-dream experiences. So that's weird. Ooh. Because of my Facebook being down, I don't have a lot more stories. So I got about a half page left. So I might only make it an hour this week. So that's pretty good considering what's going on. Major League Baseball has removed marijuana from the banned substance list, so you can smoke marijuana now and not get busted. If marijuana shows up in your drug stream when you get drug tested, you will not get suspended or kicked off your team. Pink Flamingo slippers. There's my Pink Flamingo right over there. And now I want these Pink Flamingo slippers as well, available for Christmas. The Oriole bird, talking about Major League Baseball, is a mascot that has been around since I've been a kid, who would go to Oriole games, and the person dressed up as a giant Oriole bird and get people excited and run around, shake hands, and do all kinds of goofy stuff. Well, he's going to be inducted into the Mascot Hall of Fame in 2020. I think it's a brand new thing that just happened. And I talked about that on one of my other shows earlier, so that was kind of cool. The Griswolds, another favorite Christmas movie at this time is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Well, the Griswolds will be getting their own HBO Max TV series. I think it's going to be a brand new family. There's not going to be Chevy Chase and Beverly D'Angelo. It's going to be just new actors, and it's just going to be a Griswold TV show. So that could be interesting on HBO Max. So we'll see. I forgot to say this when I was doing my death stuff. Marie Fredriksson of Roxette, she passed away at the age of 61 due to a brain tumor. So it's always sad when a musician passes away like that. Roxette had some big hits in the 1980s. Nothing really that I know of. In America, I think overseas in England and stuff, she was much bigger. So it was a bigger deal, I think, over there than it was here. Make-A-Wish is a good foundation where, kids who are terminally ill, they make a wish, and they try, and the Make-A-Wish people try to help get them their wish. Well, a young 10-year-old girl made a wish to meet the Loch Ness Monster. So I don't know if I guess what they'll do is maybe they'll just fly her over to Scotland and let her hang around the Loch Ness. But I don't know if she'll actually be able to see the monster, because who knows if it'll come out and visit her or not. I don't know. I was in Target today, and I didn't see these for sale, but they are saying Target is now selling mini fairy lights with snow in them. So they're actually Christmas lights, big bulb Christmas lights that are white that have snow in them. So I guess that would be an interesting little lighting thing, I suppose. Kind of interesting. But I didn't see it at my Target, so I don't know. Maybe they're at some other place as well. An electric eel has been I guess it doesn't, but they've been using his electricity to power the Christmas lights at their aquarium. So I don't know how that actually works, if they're able to plug it into the water or what. I'm not exactly sure how that happens. So that's kind of interesting. Movie theaters are going to be replacing seats. A movie theater, not all of them, but there was a movie theater that replaced the seats with double beds. So my movie theater just put in leather recliners recently, and now there's all these movie theaters now that are putting in double beds. So instead of chairs, they're taking out two little beds you put together and you can relax on, so you can lie down. That could have some issues down the line, possibly. We'll see. Aldi is handing out all of its unsold food to the needy on Christmas Eve. So as soon as everybody's done getting their Christmas Eve shopping, as they're getting ready to close, they're going to take out all their, unsold food, I guess the stuff that's been made in store, and they will give it to the needy, which is good. Instead of wasting it or putting it out for another day or something like that, see somebody puts it up there. I talked about the Wonder Woman trailer. Well, there's a possible movie spinoff that's going to be featuring the Wonder Woman. Featuring the Amazons is in the works right now. So it's a possibility that could be a huge movie down. Interesting to see that. So we'll see. It might not be for a few years, but it's definitely being talked about right now. Niantic, who does the Pokemon Go stuff, they have partnered with Qualcomm to create glasses that you might be able to do Pokemon Go on now instead of on your phone. So that's going to be kind of interesting to do this, or maybe they'll do the motions and you'll just see it on your glasses instead of on the phone. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. Pokemon Go's Community Day weekend was this weekend. It's the December one. So what they do is they did something different. Last year was the first year they did community days, and their December Community Day last year was only one day, and they released every one of the previous 11 Community Day Pokemon back out into the wild with their special moves, so you can try and catch the ones you missed and to try to catch more shinies, stuff like that. So we did that last year at Columbia Mall and did a pretty good job there. This year they did something different. This year, they made it over a weekend. So both yesterday and today was Pokemon Go Community Day weekend. And here's how it broke down. From 11 to 2 on both days, Saturday and Sunday, was the actual community day, where they released half of the, like, say, 6 of the Pokemon community day ones from this year on Saturday. So they were out in the wild more often from 11 to 2 with the shiny possibilities and a couple of deals like 2 times candies and 2 times XP and stuff like that. And then today they would release the remaining 5 in that 11 to 2 period with their shinies, stuff like that. And the same thing, two times XP and 2 times candy and stuff like that. Now you had those. Now the difference they did this year was from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. both today and yesterday. You could evolve every one of the community day Pokemon, and they would get their special move that you can only get in community days. So the Pokemon from last year, community day, they weren't more out in the wild, but if you had been saving candy over the year and you wanted to evolve them now during this period, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., you would get that special move that you could only get from the community day, and then that was over. After 9 p.m., if you evolved it again, you wouldn't get the special move. You just get the regular random moves that they always have. So that's kind of a good deal. Now, they're going absolutely crazy with their winter stuff now. So for the next, I guess, 10 days of Christmas, which means 7 days, I guess, so 17 days to the new year. Over the next 17 days, they're going to have a special egg event where Pokemon that are very rarely in these eggs are going to be in eggs now. They're going to release a new legendary Pokemon in 5-star raids on Tuesday, I think. You're going to have to deal with that. The Christmas event comes up where you're going to get Delibird and a few other things, Pikachu with a stocking cap and Stantler with jingle bells on his antlers. And you'll be getting a special weekend, I guess it would be the 20, I don't know if it's this upcoming weekend or next weekend, where Ho-Oh and Lugia, which are 2 other legendaries that have been out periodically, are going to come back into raids for those 2 days. And then the actual Christmas event goes from the 24th to the 2nd, but they're going to divide it up into, this is what's going to happen on this week, these few days, this is going to happen these few days, it's going to happen these few days, these days. So they're each going to have like a special event, like one set of like 2 days will be extra XP, one set of days will be extra candy, stuff like that. So it's going to be kind of confusing, but it's crazy. So get back into Pokemon Go if you want. A surgeon transplants a testicle from one brother to his twin brother. So, I mean, it's always good to know that if you need an extra testicle and you have a twin brother, you can get it from him, and it would fit, and probably would. A company will pay you $5,000 to live in a Scottish castle while drinking bottomless coffee. We've seen these types of deals all the time, and this is a pretty interesting one as well. Living in a Scottish castle and doing nothing but drinking coffee and get paid $5,000. So $5,000 doesn't seem like a lot, but if you just want to sit on your butt in a Scottish castle and drink coffee, let's go for it, man. More than 3,000 pounds of marijuana were found in a U-Haul truck during a traffic stop. People need to get their holiday marijuana, but they just weren't able to get it this time. Logan, the Wolverine superhero movie, was named the superhero movie of the decade, since the decade technically ends this year, and 2020 is the beginning of a new decade. So Logan was named the best superhero movie from 2010 to 2020, which people have been disputing and stuff like that, and you're going to, whatever. And finally, the last story for this shortened episode of Dylan Knows, because of my Facebook Down event. 2 mises, whatever you want to call it, were videotaped fighting in someone's yard. So it was like a typical house in the middle of a typical neighborhood, and these 2 moose were fighting in their yard and onto the driveway and out into the street. So they were banging their heads and rearing each other and stuff like that, and boom, 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 stuff like that. So it was crazy video. If you can find it, definitely check it out. So hey, there we go. I did it in less than an hour. As I said, missed 2 days because of Facebook being down. So there probably would have been more, and I probably would have pushed a little bit more, but not much going on. Next week's show will be my Christmas episode. I will talk about what I cut out earlier because it's going to fit more, because it's just going to be a lot of Christmas stuff next week. This is the last week before Christmas, so everybody get excited about that. And we're getting ready. 58, 59, 1 hour. Yay. So I've done it for an hour, and I'm going to cut out here real soon. So probably the next episode of Dylan Knows will be on Saturday night, which will be the winter solstice. So it's appropriate for winter solstice and my Christmas episode, because as I said, Christmas is on Wednesday this year. I'm not going to do a show again until the next day. Probably won't be doing it the 28th, because that's Christmas at my sister's house. Might be the 29th. Will be the show. So it'll be, this one and then that one, and that might be my year-end review / in memoriam show. So it might not be any stories, or I might do a couple. We'll see what happens. But right now, next week's episode will be all about Christmas. Maybe not all about Christmas, but it'll be mostly about Christmas. And normally, in the old days when I used to be able to have my co-host Sherry Flesher, we would do our Christmas party at that point, where we'd get drunk and we would do a list of some Christmas-oriented thing. But I can't do it now with webcam here, because I can't get anybody else to join me for this. But that's okay. It happens. And thanks for everybody for watching. Manny King YT, I'm sorry I didn't really respond to you, but when you start off with fuck you and the chat, I didn't really appreciate it. But then you're like, I'm just kidding, keep up the good work, and then you left. So it's cool. That's fine. Thank you for watching, I guess. Sorry I wasn't your cup of tea. Anyway, I will see you later. So next week will be the Christmas episode. I will talk about, I think what I was going to talk about was I'll talk about Santa Claus, different theories about Santa Claus. There's a Harry Potter one, Fables one, and a few other people have some ones as well. I'll do some Christmas movies, some Christmas music, top Christmas movies, Christmas music. Maybe I'll read another Christmas story. I did that a couple of years ago, where I just read nothing but Christmas stories, and I'll probably be reposting those during the week of Christmas, and have a Christmas stuff like that. So all kinds of Christmas stuff coming your way on Saturday, which will be also the winter solstice. So fall has got 1 week left in it. Watch out for the snow, ice, freezing rain that's spanning from the East Coast to about the Midwest. So we'll see if we'll actually get that. Again, as I said, they called this last week, and we didn't really get anything except for a little bit of snow. So we'll see what happens, and let you know how the car goes and other things as well. And I think that's it. So I think I've pushed this and milked this enough. And have a pleasant day. Be careful out there. As I said, 10 days of Christmas, so get out there, do your shopping, and finish up, and be good, be safe, be happy. See you later.